The small cafe on the corner of the street buzzed with quiet chatter and the clinking of cups, but at the far table near the window, silence always sat with Mr. Harris. Every morning like clockwork, he arrived precisely at 8 a.m., dressed neatly in a worn but clean coat, his graying beard trimmed with care. He moved slowly but confidently with his white cane tapping in rhythm against the tiled floor. The regulars knew him not by name, but by presence. They called him the blind man by the window and had grown used to the image of him sitting alone, facing the glass, though he couldn't see the world beyond it. He always ordered the same thing, a small black coffee, no sugar. He never asked for more. The waitstaff served him politely but without much interaction, assuming he preferred solitude. They'd place the coffee before him, quietly saying, "Here you go," and walk away. Sometimes he nodded, sometimes he didn't. He never brought a phone, never wore headphones, never spoke unless spoken to. He just sat quietly, listening to the symphony of life swirling around him, the scrape of chairs, the hiss of the espresso machine, the occasional burst of laughter. His fingers traced slow patterns across the edge of the saucer, as if drawing memories from the ceramic. Though he returned each day without fail, no one truly noticed when he left. The door would chime behind him as he disappeared back into the world, just a lonely shadow returning to his silent life. It was a Monday morning when Lena first walked into the cafe, nervous and worn out. She had just landed the job after weeks of searching, her shoes scuffed and uniform slightly oversized. Her eyes scanned the place as she tied her apron, memorizing the layout, the counter, the regulars. That's when she noticed him, an elderly man seated alone by the window, a white cane resting beside him like a silent companion. He sat still, hands folded, his face turned slightly toward the window, as though watching a world he could no longer see. Lena asked one of the other waitresses about him. "Oh, that's Mr. Harris," she was told. "Comes in every day, same time, just coffee. Doesn't talk much." When it came time to take his order, Lena approached slowly, unsure. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. "Would you like your usual?" He nodded without turning his head, and she smiled gently, though he couldn't see it. As she placed the coffee down, she noticed how carefully he reached for it, feeling the table for the cup's position. Without thinking, she nudged it slightly closer to his hand and folded a napkin beside it. There were no words between them that day, no eye contact. But as she turned to walk away, she felt something shift, something quiet, unspoken. Unlike the other customers she served, Lena didn't feel pity for him. She felt curiosity. And something deeper, a connection. From that day on, Lena began observing him closely. She didn't rush his table like the others did. Instead, she moved slower, more thoughtful, a smile here, a softer tone there. Though she didn't speak much, her silence felt intentional, like she was saying something without using words. And even though he never said a thing, she could sense he noticed. Days passed, and a quiet rhythm began to form between Lena and Mr. Harris. Each morning, as the bell above the cafe door chimed, she glanced up instinctively and saw him enter, same coat, same slow steps, same silent presence. But now something felt different. Lena began preparing his coffee the moment he walked in, always placing it gently in the same spot, always folding a napkin just beside the cup so he could find it easily. Her hands moved with care, as if every small action mattered. One morning, Lena did something new. The cafe had an old braille labeler in the back, forgotten in a drawer. She dusted it off, pressed a strip of paper through it, and punched out a simple message. "Hope today brings you peace." She folded the note and placed it under the saucer before walking away. Mr. Harris found it with his fingertips. His hand paused as he realized what it was. He carefully read the raised dots, and his expression softened, not quite a smile, but something close. The next day, another note appeared. "You are not invisible." And another, "Some people notice the quiet ones." Lena never watched him read the notes. She would busy herself behind the counter, pretending not to care. But inside, her heart waited for his response, a slight nod, a deeper breath, anything. Mr. Harris never spoke, but his hands lingered a little longer on the messages. He began arriving a few minutes earlier, sitting a bit straighter, holding his coffee with both hands as if savoring more than just the warmth. Though, no words were exchanged between them. A silent language had begun to bloom, one of gestures, small acts, and unspoken understanding. And in that quiet space, something beautiful was beginning to grow. Asterisk, the sky hung heavy with clouds that afternoon, and rain tapped gently against the cafe windows like a soft rhythm no one else seemed to hear. The cafe was quieter than usual. Lena, wiping down tables, noticed Mr. Harris had arrived earlier than normal. He was already seated in his usual spot, but something about him was off. His shoulders were hunched, his hands trembling slightly. As they rested on the table, the usual calm on his face had been replaced by a quiet tension, like a man holding back a storm within. Asterisk, Lena approached slowly, setting down his coffee without a word. But this time, she didn't walk away. Asterisk, instead, she slid into the seat across from him, a quiet, bold choice. Mr. Harris didn't react at first. Then, with slow movement, he turned his face toward her, as if sensing the shift in the air. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain filled the silence. Then something extraordinary happened. Mr. Harris reached out uncertainly, and Lena gently placed her hand beneath his. Her warmth surrounded his fragile fingers, grounding him. He held on, not tightly, but with a kind of desperation that said more than words ever could. Asterisk, his voice cracked when it came. You remind me of my daughter. Lena didn't speak, only listened. She used to sit just like this, he whispered. At cafe's curious kind, she died 6 years ago. A car accident. She was all I had. Asterisk, Lena's throat tightened. Tears welled in her eyes, but still, she said nothing. Her silence was full of empathy, of sorrow, of shared weight. Asterisk, Mr. Harris gave a faint smile, almost broken. I haven't spoken to anyone like this since she passed. But your silence, it's not empty, it heals. Asterisk, Lena squeezed his hand gently. Nothing needed to be said. In that moment, grief met kindness, and two strangers sat together not in pain, but in quiet understanding. Asterisk, the sun returned after days of rain, casting a warm glow through the cafe's tall windows. Lena walked in with her usual tired smile, unaware that today would be different. She greeted a few regulars, tied her apron, and moved behind the counter when the cafe owner called her name. His voice was softer than usual. Asterisk, Lena, can I see you for a second? Asterisk, confused but curious, she followed him to the back office. He handed her a white envelope. This came in this morning. It's for you. Asterisk, she opened it slowly. Inside was a typed note and a smaller envelope. The note read, Asterisk, you gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever. The comfort of being seen, even in silence. Because of you, I've decided to start living again, not just surviving. I've paid your rent for the next 6 months. Please, use this time to chase what you've put on hold. You deserve more than just making ends meet. Your friend in silence, H. Asterisk, Lena stood frozen, hands trembling, eyes wide with disbelief. She pulled out the smaller envelope and found a receipt, confirming the payment, and a final braille note that simply read, Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. Asterisk, tears welled in her eyes. She hadn't done anything grand. No speeches, no big gestures. Just quiet kindness, a folded napkin, a warm cup of coffee, a gentle hand held in silence. Yet it had changed someone's life. And now, it was changing. Hers. Asterisk, she never saw Mr. Harris in the cafe again. But weeks later, postcards began to arrive, one from a small seaside town, one from a quiet mountain village, each signed, Your friend in silence. Lena framed the first one and hung it by her bedside. She enrolled in nursing classes shortly after, something she'd longed to do for years, but couldn't afford. And every time she felt like giving up, she remembered that silent man who once sat alone and how they both saved each other without saying a word. Asterisk.